Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. The drugstore is killing it with new releases, CoverGirl in particular, because they are going through a bit of a rebranding, but they're also bringing out a crap ton of new products. So if you're interested in finding out what I think about these new items, make sure you keep on watching and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. I just pulled out my phone for a quick second because I did take pictures of some of the other items that I don't have here today that CoverGirl recently released. And as you probably know from most other videos that have already been published, they have a new foundation, powders, primers, face products. They've also got new eyeshadow palettes, eyeliners, lipsticks, you name it, they've come out with it. I am quite impressed with the range that CoverGirl has come out with. In particular, the shade range for their foundation. I believe there are 40 or 40 plus new foundations that they have released with various undertones, which is very hard to find in the drugstore. I actually tried to film a video of first impressions with all of these products last week, but I didn't like the way it turned out, and I just felt like it wasn't going to be as detailed in terms of information as what a follow-up video would be. So I thought I would test out all of these products for a little while and then come back on camera and give you some final thoughts that I have. And I am going to start off with this primer right here. So basically I'm going to go in the order that I would normally go in, as if I were applying these items to my face. So this primer right here, it's called the TruBlend Base Business Skin Primer. It is meant to pore minimize. The texture of it is actually quite light, so it's similar to the Smashbox formula that they have for their purple primer, but this one here is just a little more lightweight, a little more watery in texture, and it doesn't feel as if it's heavy in silicones. For $10 at the drugstore, I think this really is a good primer. It did do a nice job of sort of smoothing out all of my pores and blurring them a little bit. It doesn't make them completely disappear. I'm sure you can still see them on my skin. That's what pores are. But for mattifying purposes, I didn't really like this. I would still stick with my L'Oreal Infallible Matte Lock Primer, which when combined with this primer actually does work really well. Next up is the foundation. This is the CoverGirl TruBlend Matte Made Foundation. It is supposed to be a comfort matte, transfer resistant, and last for 12 hours. This foundation does have a number of different shades and different undertones to them. I ended up picking up the one in L40. This one suited me best. It is called Classic Ivory, and that's typically the shade that I go for when it comes to CoverGirl products. So luckily this one aligned with some of the old shade ranges that they had. I like that the foundation does have a pump that keeps everything sanitary. It is a glass bottle, which again I am very happy about at the drugstore. You pump a little bit out and you actually get a generous amount. And this isn't a foundation that you need tons and tons of product to work into your skin. I'd say this is about medium coverage to buildable full. It blends out really nicely. It does give you great coverage. Of course, it is the foundation that I'm wearing today, and I have been wearing this foundation for a solid 2 weeks, and I have been quite impressed with the way it has stayed on my skin. Most foundations that I try out from the drugstore do tend to fade really, really quickly on me, but this one in particular actually had some hold to it. Even after going to the gym, this foundation still stayed on my face. I wouldn't say it is entirely transfer resistant. I mean, if I was touching my face quite a bit, I could see some of the foundation come off on my fingers. If I rubbed my face in any way, of course foundation was going to come off, but for the most part it did not shift around. It did stay in place, especially when I set it really well with some loose setting powder. Before applying this foundation, make sure you shake the bottle up really well, because there is something weird about this formula, and I don't know if this is just an experience that I had with this particular bottle or this batch, but I found when I pumped out some of the product, I ended up getting these white grainy bits in my foundation, and it felt like it was just plastic bits that I was spreading across my face, They didn't serve any purpose. They didn't melt into my skin, but it was just the weirdest thing that came out of this particular pump. I'm not sure if that's a quality control thing with CoverGirl, if that's something that is supposed to happen when you wear this foundation, but those little granules did come off once I brushed my face with some powder, but it was just a little bit concerning that that's something that was coming out of foundation. I have never had that happen before with any other product, so just bear that in mind when you are looking at this foundation. Just try it out on your hand first and see if you can see those granular bits that I'm talking about. This claims to be a matte foundation, and I would agree to a certain degree. Of course, everybody is gonna get oily throughout the day. I didn't find I got super oily with this particular product. I was just oily like normal. So did it start off matte? Absolutely. Did it stay matte for 12 plus hours that I would wear this? No. Is it something that still looked great on my skin? Absolutely. All you need to do is just blot and repowder throughout the day and you're good to go. So I definitely like this foundation and I would certainly recommend it. What I would not recommend though is this really bad concealer right here. This is the CoverGirl TruBlend It's Lit Concealer. Good Lord, why would they come out with something as stupid as this product? Of course, I am going to put a disclaimer on this and say everyone's going to have a different opinion about makeup. This is just something that didn't work well with me. This is supposed to be a bit of an illuminating concealer. It's got a little brush that has product that pops out once you turn this bottom bit here. You apply it onto your skin and it's supposed to blend out nicely and give you a more sort of glow from within concealer formula thing. I didn't like it. I didn't find that it blended very well at all. I also found it gave me no coverage. I found it also didn't last very well throughout the day. Had my foundation not given me a wonderful base to work with, I think all of my redness would have been peeking through underneath. So this concealer here is a hard pass for me, but I certainly would recommend everybody try it out, especially at the price point. It's only 10 bucks. See what you think about it, but if you have oily skin, any sort of redness, this definitely isn't the concealer for you. CoverGirl did release a few translucent setting powders, but unfortunately the shade that I wanted was sold out. I typically go for the translucent shades, and sadly I couldn't find it at any of the Walmarts that were close by. I couldn't find it at Shoppers Drug Mart, Loblaws, you name it. I looked for it, couldn't find it anywhere. So I'm gonna wait until they bring in a second shipment and then I will try it out. But in the meantime, I did want to find a powder that was new as well that I could pair well with this, whoops, foundation right here. So I went ahead and picked up the CoverGirl TruBlend powder. This one here is in the shade Translucent Light. This is number 2, and that's what it looks like. You do get a small little mirror in here, which I like, and then the powder itself. The powder does have a really nice sort of soft feeling to it. It blends out really nicely, but I don't like this on my skin. I found that it didn't add any extra coverage, and that's something that I do need with a particular powder. I like having a little more coverage when I use one. So this didn't fill that bill, at least for me. And also for somebody who has oily skin, this did absolutely nothing to control my oils throughout the day. So I found this product to be a little pointless for me, mostly because my skin type doesn't necessarily work with this powder here. Maybe somebody with normal or combination or maybe dry skin might like this a little bit more, but for me it just didn't work out. It's not like there's anything wrong with the formula, at least I don't think there is. It's just not something that I would ever reach for again. CoverGirl released a few blush, highlighter, and bronzer palettes. This one here is in particular for fair to light skin tones, but I know they also have one for medium deep skin tones. I I have been playing around with this palette since I purchased it, so let's say it's been about 2 weeks now, and I'm gonna say I really like this bronzer. I am wearing it on my face today. I think it applied really well. It blends out nicely. It just warms up your face just enough, but it doesn't make you look like an Oompa Loompa. As for the blush, this is a beautiful color that sits very nicely on your face. It is what I'm wearing right now. As a matter of fact, I'm wearing almost all of these products on my face today. But be warned, this is super pigmented. Oh my goodness. This here is gonna give you so much color, so be very, very light-handed with it. But what I like the most is this little highlighter in the middle. It is a nice rose gold highlighter, and I actually use it as a topper for this blush because the blush, it does have a nice shimmer to it and a nice sheen, but I like amping it up a little bit more by adding this blush topper on top. I'm sure you could use this as a highlighting shade as well, but I just find it pairs so well with this beautiful coral color, so that's how I've been using them. And all of these products here have incredibly good lifespan. They will stay on your face for a long time and not fade, which I am very, very impressed with, especially for a product from the drugstore. Love, 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 highly recommend. Let's talk about highlighting palettes next. So this one right here is for fair to light skin tones, and as with this complexion palette over here, there is another one that is best suited for medium to deep skin tones. I really like these highlighters. These two shades in particular look so good on the skin, and I love that they're so soft in the pan. And the best part is they just give you a nice sheen. They don't have any of that micro glitter in them. They don't look tacky or blah, and they do have really good staying power. The only color in this palette that I don't like is this one here, mostly because the yellow doesn't really do anything for my skin tone in particular, and I just found it to be a little just, I don't know. I didn't like it. I don't like the color. The formula is the same as the other two highlighters, so you won't find any discrepancy there. It's just not a color that I would reach for in particular. This formula, I'm telling you right now, is super powdery. So when you are dipping in with your brush, you are gonna get a lot of kickback, but don't worry, the product does go on really nicely, blends out beautifully. You're gonna love this highlighter palette. It's very easy to work with. I am just blown away that this is a drugstore palette. This formula certainly feels high-end, and the way this product wears, it feels high-end as well. So this one here is a hidden gem. I highly recommend you pick it up. Next up are the eyeshadow palettes. Now, as you know, CoverGirl has released a slew of eyeshadow palettes. It's similar to the, I believe, TruBlend eyeshadows that they used to have, the jewel tone palette that I really like. They had another blush or a nude palette. Anyhow, I feel like all of these have essentially been repackaged, moderately reformulated, but they all kind of look the same to me. They are sold out in most stores. I'm telling you that right now because I went to several trying to find the whole collection, but I could not find them. These are the only two that I could get my hands on. I'm going to talk about this colorful one first because you know how I feel about colorful eyeshadow palettes. This is the TruNaked Days palette, and as you can see, you've got tons of bright jewel tones in here. It is what I'm wearing on my eyes today. I've got this green color all over my lid. I have this yellow color that I put on top of the green, which gives it this really nice shimmer. I've got this orange color in my crease right now just to give it a little more oomph, you know what I'm saying? And all of these colors blended out beautifully. They went on super pigmented. I had zero issues working with these shadows. You can wear them dry, which is what I have on my eyes right now, or you can really amp them up nicely with a little bit of Fix Plus or any other setting spray that you might be using, and you're gonna get some really nice bold looks with these colors. I've also played around with the Chocoholic palette, which does smell like chocolate. It actually smells like a Tarte palette, believe it or not. They do have a peach one as well, which I couldn't find anywhere. I did like the peach tones a lot more than the colors in this particular palette, but again, I wanted to grab one of these just so I could try out the formula, see how I feel about it, and also get a good whiff of chocolate. Similar to this palette here, these colors go on beautifully. I have this one right here, this sort of beige bone color all over my lid. I use that to actually set this eye primer that I'm going to talk about in just a second. I use this brown color over here. It reminds me of Mac's Saddle. I put that in my crease just to start helping with all of the blending that was going to go on. And then I also use this purple color right here to add a little bit of dimension on the outer corner of my eye, and I also have that blended out on my lower lash line. These colors, again, similar to this palette, were very easy to work with. They look nice, and it's just a great palette to have on hand if you want to do a smokier look. You can create a couple of different looks just using this palette here, but there is nothing super light that you can create. You are going to go smoky whether you like it or not. I definitely recommend you check out these palettes. I think they're wonderful, love the formula, and they're ridiculously affordable. The other thing I forgot to mention about these palettes is that the back label does peel off. It does show you a couple of looks that you can create using the colors in the palette. You have all of the color names back there as well, and some more tips on how to create different looks. The ingredients are also listed on the back of these palettes, and I'm not seeing anything striking that pops out right now. They do contain talc as well as mica, and the only ingredient that I'm seeing here that may cause some irritation is ultramarines, and that goes for both of these eyeshadow palettes. I haven't had any issues putting these eyeshadows on my eyes, and I do have very sensitive eyes, but I just wanted to put that out there just in case somebody is curious. These palettes here do have a 6-month shelf life. They are safe for eye use, and they're ophthalmologist tested, as all eyeshadows should be, for the record. I don't see a cruelty-free label on this, so I'm assuming these palettes are not cruelty-free. And for anyone who is curious, there is no carmine in either of these particular palettes here. That might be different for some of the other palettes, but I don't have those in front of me to compare. Overall, I love these palettes, and I definitely recommend them. I also highly recommend this eyeshadow primer right here. This is the CoverGirl Lid Lock Up Primer, and I have never used anything as good as this primer for my eyeshadow. I don't know if they just put straight up glue in this that is blendable with your fingers and safe for your eyes, but holy crap, does this do an incredible job for your eyeshadow. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I am super oily on my lid, so anything that I put on my eyes, it does tend to crease very quickly throughout the day if I don't have a wicked primer on. Even in some cases with a primer, my lids still crease. But every time I have worn this primer here, I have had no creasing happen whatsoever. And I mean, my eyeshadow is on from 6 in the morning until 10 at night, and there is no creasing. Also, the color does not fade whatsoever. There is witchcraft and voodoo magic in this particular primer here, because I am convinced that is the only way it can do what it does. It does come with a doe foot applicator. You need the smallest amount, and I'm telling you right now, this product is sticky. The minute you apply it on one lid, start blending it out with your fingers, blend it out with a brush, whatever it is you need to do, and right away set it with an eyeshadow. And what I do is I grab my Chocoholic palette and I set it with this beige tone right here immediately, and then my lid is ready to go for any eyeshadow that I'm putting on. I have already bought a backup of this primer because of how much I love it. It is a phenomenal, highly recommended, especially if you do have a problem with your eyeshadow creasing or oily lids. This is gonna save the day for you. And last but not least, CoverGirl has released a bunch of different lipsticks. I think these are a reformulated formula, for lack of a better word. I did buy Sultry Sienna, and this is a cream formula, and I love the way this sits on your lips. It has incredible longevity, it goes on so smoothly, and it keeps your lips hydrated throughout the day so it doesn't dry them out, and that's something I really appreciate about this particular formula. And I'm not a huge fan of CoverGirl lipsticks for the most part. I tend to gravitate towards the Maybelline lipsticks. Those have never let me down, but after trying this lipstick here, I am certainly willing to give CoverGirl a second chance when it comes to lipsticks. I did try to pick up a couple of other different shades, but by the time I got to them, they were all swatched as shit, and of course, I'm not gonna buy something that has already been opened and played with by other people's dirty hands. So this is the only one that I could find, and I'm really happy with this shade. It is what I'm wearing on my lips right now. So as with most items that I've talked about today, this is a lipstick that I would recommend you check out. And those are all of the new products that I have tried out from CoverGirl. I really like the majority of them. I think this is a great launch, and CoverGirl is certainly on the right track. If you guys have tried out any of these products, do let me know in the comments. Let me know what you've tried, how you've liked it, or tell me what you want to try if you haven't been able to find any of these items at the drugstore yet. I really hope you guys enjoyed this review. If you did, you know exactly what to do. Make sure you give the video a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. You can also connect with me on all of my social media. I am on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Snapchat. I can't believe I'm still on Snapchat. But I'm gonna leave all of the details for you in the description box below. Thank you again so much for watching. I hope you are all having a magnificent day no matter where you are in the world. Stay beautiful, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye guys.